So before we move forward with the next subject, we're going to talk about some IDE shortcuts. These IDE shortcuts are going to help us find some information that we need to move forward. And to be honest, these information that we're going to list in a moment are things that I use to this day, and they make my life much easier, and it would you as well. One thing to note is I'm using the IntelliJ IDE. You might use something else such as Eclipse or NetBeans or whatever it is. All you need to do is to go on Google, type in that IDE, and type in what you're looking for. So these shortcuts are going to help you out. So I'm suggesting you look for whatever that shortcut is inside your IDE. Now, something I prefer to do, and I don't want you to do it yet, but maybe as you advance in your careers, is I print out an IDE cheat sheet. So if we take a look at that, so on Google, you could type in this, like, let's say IntelliJ cheat sheet or Eclipse cheat sheet or whatever it is that you're utilizing. And what they do is they give you this one page with all the shortcuts that's possible. And I normally print these out whenever I go on a new software or something similar. And I've just put it beside my screens on the wall. For me, what this does is it allows me to go a bit faster and smoother in my my work. Think of it like an artist. If the artist is painting and they need a specific color and they waste like 5 to 10 minutes making the ink for him to use, well, then they're gonna lose that train of thought, that focus that comes in by being all mind delved into the programming or into the art. Okay, so this is something that's great. I would highly recommend it. If you do, if you don't, it's up to you. Now, let's talk about these shortcuts. The first one that we want to talk about, it's the control click. The control click is really powerful. What it does, it allows you to go to the definition of whatever that we're talking about. It does a bit more than that, obviously. So let's check out this person that we created not too long ago. Now, the first thing would be, let's say over here, there's this name and I want some more information, or I want to see where it's been defined. If I hold down Control and I click on name, you'll notice it'll directly go to the field variable, right? It gets even better than that. Let's say I'm using the system.out println. I want to know how they did the code for println, maybe learn something from it. I could hold down Control and click on the println. You'll notice directly it will bring me to the definition of the println as while it's possible. Sometimes you'll see some says I need to go through the compiler or I don't have access to it, blah, blah, blah. But this most likely, at least at your level, will 100% work. Holding down Control and making everything clickable. It's really useful. Such as, let's say, the string. Now I'm at the class string and I could see a lot of information. These information are called Java docs. We're going to see that in a moment. So just remember that these information that's on top of a class or on top of a field or on top of a method, right? Let me scroll down to a method. Here we go. So you'll see this information. Let's go back. So the control click is really powerful as it allows us to navigate around pretty quickly. This could be really useful. There's actually keys to go backwards wherever our cursor was to. I'm not going to show that because we don't need to see a million things. We just need to see a few things. So that's the first one, and it's one I use a lot. The second one is the Control P, and this is important. Control P allows you to see the parameters so that you know what you need to type in when you need to type in. So let's say over here, this person, I want to go see its implementation. I'm going to hold down Control and click on it. It's going to show me that person has been utilized. It's been utilized 4 times. Person blah, 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 line 14 of Start Java, and so forth, so on, 15, 16, 17. Let's go to one of these ones. Let's say the 17. Now, let's say this was a bit more complicated constructor. This is still a method, but it's a more complicated constructor. What I could do is press Control P, and you could see when my, let me rephrase that. When my cursor is clicked inside and I press Control P, I would get the parameters that it's currently looking for. And in this case, you could notice there's 2 lines. The first line well, actually, before we talk about that, it's a method overload. There is two methods that deals with person. One that takes a string name and one that takes no parameters. So we could see here that there's actually two definitions of person, one that takes no parameters and one that takes multiple. This control P is useful because sometimes you'll get some methods, or you'll make some methods that have like 5 or 7 or 20 parameters, or you need to know what the order of things was. What if I needed for person to give the name, the age, the date of birth, the location they live, the current year, whatever. There's no point of going back and forth between the, let's say, the constructor and back here. Did I put the correct thing? What's going on? So this is something that normally should be shown to you when you put down the parentheses. It takes a few seconds. If it's not there, you could force it up by doing Control P. It's really useful. And the last one we need is Control Q. This one is important by a lot, and we're going to explain a little bit about it at the same time. Control Q, what it does, it brings up any information, brings up the documentation about whatever that object is. So let's say if I go back on this person and I do Control Q, there's not much there because I didn't insert any Java doc. We'll do that in a much later video. But for now, the only thing Control Q tells me is that this is a person of type object. Okay, it's not much information. Let's go back to our person over here and look, where was it? We have a println. Now, if I do Control Q on my println, now you'll see we're getting a much better information. We get a description of that method. So this should normally tell you what the method is and does. Mind you, the name of a method normally tells you everything, but sometimes it becomes hard. That's the moment we go for the description. For each parameter in there, oops, I'm moving this. For each parameter in there, it will tell you what it is for and what's its use. So as you could see, the first parameter is X, which is the string to be printed. Now there are other information in there, but these are the two most notable ones. The other one is to see what the parameter is required. So, and between the parentheses, you could see what parameters it needs. It needs of type string, and they called it X, and you could see X here. That's the name of their variable, the string to be printed. You could also see what's the return type. In this case, it's void. So there's a lot of information coming in here. Now, if you remember when we did the control click, this information, this information is what's being inserted at the top, right? In this case, it's a bit different than what we normally have. Again, in the future, we'll do a video on Java docs. For now, this shows you all information you need to see on this. Same thing goes for string. So if we look at the top, all of this information is being pushed to you. Let's say go back here and I click on string and I do Control Q. All of that information is what they added for string. And it's there to help you with your programming and understanding what's going on. I'm telling you, it's 1,000 times better to understand how to utilize this description and all of this than rather than Googling every 10 seconds, what is a string? How do I use the print? What does it get? Show me some examples. The more you get used to this, the faster your workflow is, and the more your mind is going to be straightforward. Like you're going to be in the phase or in the game, and you're going to be coding, and you could remember what's going on without saying, oh, I'm stuck. Let me go Google search for an hour figuring things out. All right. So these three things are really important. If you're using a different IDE, I hope you go and Google it, figure out what's the shortcut for those three things, especially Control Q and Control Click. Those are really important. I'll see you guys in the next video.